All right, welcome back everybody. Let's get straight to the chart. So if you remember from the last video, we passed a 50k Hola Prime challenge. Now we're on a funded account, so this is a brand new funded account. Obviously 50k. Did take a trade the other day just to test it, but you know, nothing. So that's why it bounced, got an extra $55, but let's just ignore that for now. We're trading the NQ 1 minute chart. So let's have a look at a trade, all right? Let's try and get a trade going. So first up, what do? We look and we identify the conditions of the market, okay? Actually, no. First thing we do is we check the news. There's no news coming out, no scheduled news at least. Obviously, we always run the risk of, spontaneous news coming out, but there's not much you can really do about that. No scheduled news, so all is well there. On the open, in the pre-market, we were just ranging, really tight range. Kind of dipped out on the open. We shot up, reversed, and now we're kind of going back up. So for me, this is still very much a range. Okay, so again, I'm kind of looking at shorting at the top here, longing at the bottom here until the market tells me otherwise. Okay, right now, this is still very much a range-bound market for me, so I don't really want to take longs near the top as we're currently there. I'll be more interested in taking shorts, okay, as we kind of drift up, unless the market, shows me otherwise. And how can you kind of predict that the market might break out or something of that nature? Well, it's all down to the volume, okay? So at the moment in time, we're not really seeing too much, truth be told. But again, we always want to identify fresh volume, right? So this was the last high, yeah? So this volume we can ignore because we don't know what volume that is, right? We can't identify it, right? All these sellers coming in could be these buyers getting stopped out or, getting trailed out. So again, we want to ignore a lot of this volume, okay? We're only trying to, by using logic, identify fresh volume, okay? So I am more inclined to potentially take a short, but there is bullish structure on the 1 minute chart. So I might actually be willing to take a long. So it's very kind of 50-50 today. All right, so this is the first candle where we can identify fresh volume from the previous last three candles. Okay. Seeing a bit of sell pressure come in, but nothing spectacular. You're looking for outliers. You're looking for big orders, and then you don't just want to chase it, but you want to see how effective those big orders were. You can see some of this buy pressure coming in, and we're trading a bit below some of these buyers, which could indicate if sellers pile on the pressure here, we might actually have a short. Now, since this is a funded account, I've dropped my risk to only 2 micros per position. I'm not going to be doing 5 like I did in the challenge or the evaluation. Okay. But we don't really see anything as of yet. So I'm going to keep waiting until we find a trade. Sometimes you've got to be a bit patient. It can take 5, 10, 20 minutes sometimes. If that's the case, that's the case. All right, buy pressure came in. We're above the buyers. Let's see how the buyers react here. Are they willing to add more volume? A little trickle of volume. We trapped some of those sellers near the bottom. Yeah, it looks like a bit of buy pressure is coming in. Okay, let's go in and have our stops, just below that wick there. But I'm not going to add to my position until I see something a bit better. I'm liking, there's some half decent buy pressure coming into the market. Okay? I'm going to assume we could at least get back to these highs. What happens here at these highs where we're literally at right now will determine whether I'll stay in this trade or get out. But truth be told, it's not the greatest trade at the moment, right? We want to see if buyers are willing to add at the top. Are buyers willing to buy at unfavorable prices, yes or no? Yeah, they look like they are. 20 contracts. They're still kind of willing to buy at unfavorable prices. It's not actually that terrible. We may be able to add to our position, but I want to see sellers get tested. I'm not seeing any real sellers really come in. Maybe 10 contracts here and there. Buyers quickly. Oh, there was a big chunk of sellers because we went from 20 back down to 2. So there are some sellers, and we're above those sellers. So I'm going to add another. All right, there's some real sellers coming in. These are the people we want to test. So we want to get above these sellers, right? If those sellers become efficient, we want to get out the market. So we want to get out then. So realistically, we don't really want to go much lower than the current candle. But we want to see buyers. That's what we want to see. You know, buyers trade above the sellers. Gives us a bit more hope. All right. There we go. Bit of buy pressure coming in. Beautiful. All right. Let's see how far we can extend. A lot of sellers getting stopped out. It's looking okay. Let's see if buyers keep adding. We're at 80, 84, 70. A few sellers trickling in, but we're back to 80. Pushing up. Come on. A bit of absorption happening near the highs. We also want to mark out where the last high is. So, okay, it's far away. So we're not really in any kind of interesting zone. Don't really like the fact that, you know, we got pushed down, all those buyers potentially trapped. Sellers are trying to trade below the buyers. As long as we can stay afloat and keep those sellers trapped, I would even be willing to potentially add a position if buyers come in hard here. But it doesn't look like they want to, which unfortunately this might be a bit of a scratch trade. Yeah, those sellers are coming in a bit strong. Let's see if we can get above them. So really, I want to exit if we get much lower than these. If these sellers become efficient, I want to get out. If we get above them and post volume, I want to add. Okay, so yeah, it does. Come on, get above those sellers. Let's see. Any buyers willing to buy the dip? That's the big question here. Looks like it might not quite work out here. All right, so it looks like buyers do want to kind of get above those sellers. May be willing to add here. I just need to see a bit of buyers willing to buy at the top. And we're not seeing that yet. That's the only reason I'm not adding. Come on. Where are the buyers? So basically our stops now can be pretty much below that wick for the most part. But we need to see buyers come in. Okay, sellers are still trying to short, but they're not very efficient. That's the only reason I'm kind of happy to hold this at this moment in time. But sellers will break it down if buyers do not come in. Okay, there has to be an element. There has to be buyers willing to trade. You know, to put in volume into the market. If we don't get that, well, we are going to drift down. 30. It's not. They're putting in a tiny bit of volume, but not much. And sellers seem to be traveling below them, which isn't great. Slowly there's a trickle of buying coming in. 12. I want to see at least like 40 buyers. At least. But actually produce green as well. You know, actually push up when they're placing their orders. We're not really getting much at the moment, but it's not the end of the world. There's a bit sideways market. The buyers are starting to slip a little bit here. We might have to scratch this trade if this gets a little bit lower, and if buyers are not going to come in, we're going to have to scratch this trade. Yeah, looks like we might actually have to scratch it. There's a lot of buyers getting stopped out, but let's see if buyers are willing to buy once the stops get triggered, which is here. That big spike in sell volume where buyers getting stopped out, maybe we'll use that as liquidity, as fuel to jump in, because that's usually what happens, or sometimes that's what happens. All right, if buyers come in now, we can add. Come on. Just want to see buyers come in. Very, very little buyers. There's a little chunk of them. All right, why not? Let's add another position. I think I like how once our stops got hit, well, once buyers' stops got hit, they used it as fuel to buy up the market, which is usually a good sign. All right, let's see if we can get that extension. We're now 6 micros in, so it's not a huge position. We could still add maybe another 2 micros if the trade starts looking better. But realistically speaking, we don't really want to we don't want to see sellers gain any footing here. A lot of this volume here is going to be stops, so yeah. All right, we're out. Okay, so unfortunately, didn't quite work out. We didn't get that extension. You know, it was looking okay for a while. How much did we lose there? $220. So not too bad. We still got a few trades within us. But okay, let's regroup. Let's see what's happening. Okay, those buyers seem to be okay, but again, hard to place what that volume is, right? If it's fresh buying, it's not bad. However, we don't fully know. This could be some of these sellers potentially getting trailed out, right? So we can't really truly identify it as fresh buy volume. So we kind of want to hold off chasing it, right? Ideally, we want to create basically like a bit of a range, even if it's a few candles, right? So we're going to wait for the next candle. As long as so here's now kind of the range we have, and we want to see what happens within this area, okay? Because we can identify that as fresh volume. So there's sellers coming in. Let's see if they get trapped. Sellers were instantly above those sellers. It does look okay. I'm going to come in again. We'll put 2 contracts in. Sorry, not 2 contracts, 2 positions. I mean, realistically, my stop is going to have to be down here, but we could probably manually exit. I don't really want to get below those sellers, but I do want to see sellers. This is what I want to see, right? I want to see big sellers come in, beautiful, and then I want to see us trade above them and post volume above. If we got that, I'm adding another 2. Literally, are we posting volume? Come on, I want to see a bit of buy volume come in. Still sell volume coming in. So it's not quite right yet. Come on, give me some buy volume. Then I can add. Then I can put... All right, there's 20. Yeah, why not? Okay, added another 2. This is looking okay now. Potentially for a move. And we really, really kind of want to keep these sellers here in drawdown, right? We want to keep them in drawdown. We don't really want to go below these sellers. And we certainly don't really want to trade in this area, right? So as long as we can kind of stay afloat and keep kind of, you know, pushing, we're good. Let's get our exit button ready just in case, because there's a good chance sellers might want to come in hard. If they do, we'll just scratch the trade real quick. All right, buyers are coming in once again. Definitely some sellers getting trailed out, stopped out there. Let's see if we can extend higher and actually break these highs here. They're always getting pushed down, these buyers. You can see sellers are always trying to short these buyers, but as long as we stay afloat, as long as we stay above the mass majority of the sell volume, we should be okay. So this volume here, we wanna trade above it. We don't really want to see a candle like that. That's not good. So we want to quickly, not take our time with it, but quickly kind of trap those sellers. Speed matters, right, in this market. Speed really does matter. That's good what we see in there, how we got above them pretty fast, right? But the quicker we do it, the better. Because speed indicates momentum, and people look at those sellers coming in again. They are desperate to get this market down. We need to, again, with speed, get above. There was a bit of a push up, and then sellers shorted straight back into it. Big chunk of sellers. Let's get above them quickly. If we get a bit of speed above those sellers, that will look really good. Oh, we might be able to do it here. Come on. They're just a little bit too strong, weren't they? Just a little bit too strong, but maybe they'll try again. What I am seeing is that buyers look like they are trying to squeeze sellers out, but sellers also look like they're trying to squeeze buyers out. So it's kind of a bit two-sided now. You can, come on, get above that 63. That's good. Get above. Okay, now we're starting to talk here. There's definitely those sellers getting stopped out the market. Now, if we can keep adding volume, we got this. 70, 74, come on, add. They just didn't add. We went up to 70 and nothing. Didn't go to 80, didn't go to 90. There was just no follow through. Buyers are just not willing to buy right now. Maybe they'll go in for another stab at it. Let's see. 43, 38, 2, 1. You can see these numbers are just changing. Hardly changing. They're being a bit... 48. There we go. Little, maybe 10 contracts came in. 52. Okay. So some buyers are willing to buy here. Let's see if we can get these numbers in this area a bit higher. 7. 9. It's just coming in a few contracts here and there. Nothing spectacular. I want to see it go quickly to like 30, 40, you know. Chunks of volume, not just a dribble. Like what the sellers just did there. Straight away, 28. It's a nice big chunk of volume, right? That's going to work as an anchor point potentially for them. But as long as we get above, there we go. There was a there's some balls from the buyers. Good. Adding a bit more size. Got above those sellers quickly. Let's keep that momentum up and we can blow right through. Here we go. All right. Well done. Took them a little while. Good. All right, let's keep going. Let's not slow down now. We're approaching that little high here. Let's see if sellers get stopped out. We should see big buy numbers appear as sellers get stopped out. Sellers are still not out the market. We didn't really see any volume spike, but as long as buyers keep buying, now that constantly there's a bit of sellers getting stopped out, we need to get above those sellers quickly. Get above them, squeeze them out. That's what we want to do. Don't wait. Don't, allow sellers even a few seconds in profit. There's definitely sellers getting stopped out. Beautiful. But we've got to keep adding. Keep adding. Sellers are trying to push this market down. They're trying to short their stops, essentially. Right? We need to get above this sell volume fast and then print more volume here. Come on. Squeeze out these sellers. It's just too slow. There's not enough momentum. It's just too slow at this moment in time. All right, there was a little chunk there, but again, there was no real follow-through after. Unfortunately, there's a bit of momentum again. There was a little bit of speed. Good. Let's get above those sellers. Trap them. Come on. They're just not doing it. Absolute pansies. They were so close. Oh, there was a bit of momentum. Come on, get above those sellers. There's a lot of good volume here from the sell side that we could absolutely trap. And if we get above, we'll stop them out. All their stops are probably here. There's so much nice volume here that we can squeeze. We just got to add. Just not seeing buyers wanting it, unfortunately. It's a shame because that we could have had a very nice trade there. Now the question is, do I get out, wait for the next cycle? I mean, we're in an area where buyers will be defending, so I guess I could just view what the buyers do in this kind of area. But sellers have taken far too much control now for, a sudden move. Buyers have they lost control of the market at pivotal areas, basically. All right, we're seeing some buyers come in now. See that 80? Actually not looking terrible. There's a bit of real buy pressure coming into the market. So these guys are really, these guys here, we've got to keep an eye on them. Because if they start failing and the market gets down below, this could be a rotation down. But if we can go higher than them, okay, we might have something here. Okay, nice, they added. Beautiful, all right. Okay, it looks like we might have another potential squeeze here. We got very close to getting stopped out there. You know, it's critical that the volume that gets posted in the right areas. All right, 30, finally. Look at that. The moment a little bit more volume comes in, we manage to go higher than that wick. That's all that's needed. Just a little bit more volume at critical areas. Like now, we need a lot more volume. Look at that. As soon as it goes to 60, look how high the candle goes up. This is literally it. It's a domino effect. You just need the volume to be posted in the correct areas. Now, we should see sellers surely get stopped out soon. We should see a big chunk of sellers, a big chunk of buy numbers appear as sellers get stopped out. Their stops haven't been triggered. I think an element of some stops being triggered. But we want to see these numbers stay afloat, right? 60. They might get knocked down to 50, 40 or something, but then instantly we want it to go back to like higher numbers, 60, 70, good. So as long as buyers keep that number steady and like get rid of this 10 and go above it quickly. So we don't want to see the sell numbers increase. We want to see the buy. Again, they're failing to buy at the highs, buyers. All right, 80. Look, sellers adding. We need to push those sell numbers down. Turn it green. That's what we need to do. Turn that area green. Okay? Oh, there was all right, something happened. It was a candle close. A big buy order came in, turned it green, literally. Okay? So there's definitely buyers in this market being serious now. They're starting to finally wake up and say, all right, let's squeeze out these sellers. So that's given me a bit more hope. How this was, I can't remember what number it was. I think it was like 20 or so, negative 20. And then a big buyer came in, but they're not very efficient. Sellers are shorting into it. We have to, they're definitely absorbing it. There's definitely absorption. So in the book, there must be a lot of sell limits, right? There we go. Come on. This is our new ally, all right? The 49 here, our new ally. We don't want this person to be squeezed out. We need to keep above them. All right, finally. Keep posting that volume, buyers. Let's see if we can take out that high there. Again, same idea. We need to keep seeing buyers posting volume, right? Sellers are slowly increasing a bit, but boom, buyers coming in. Good. There we go. Beautiful. Let's really take out that high. We're still, we kind of took it out, but we haven't really poked above it. We need to poke above it. If we get that kind of pop, that reaction, I'll be happy to get out, potentially, if buyers stop buying. We're at 17, 18, 20. Come on, get that number down. Good, good, good. 20, good. They're adding. There's the stops. Boom. All right, we got the pop. Now we need to see those numbers stay high. 102, 150, 50, 99. Sellers are shorting it back to 120. Beautiful. Come on, keep those numbers high. Do not let the numbers drop down. 120, give me a 130. Come on, give me 130. There it is, 130. Come on, give it back to 130. Come on, keep those numbers high. 5, 3. This is little numbers. 20, good. Keep rolling in. We need to see the momentum. Buyers should not be stopping buying. You know what I mean? Buying has to keep continuing to keep this momentum going. Right? Good, good, good. Come on, a little bit more. 50. 20. Come on, keep it up. We're starting to slow down a bit here. The momentum's dying a little bit. Might be time to potentially take profit. 30. We're going to take our money. All right, we're out. It started dying off a bit. Buyers weren't adding, like the number wasn't changing. Do you know what I mean? And now look, sellers are coming in. All right, so I think we took it at the right time. What did we do? So $433. That's good. Yeah, I'm happy with that for the day. I mean, this was, look, there was an element of luck here. But the market, there is an element of stuff you just cannot control. Now, truth be told, I should have handled this trade a bit better. Okay? When buyers in this area here, when we saw buyers weren't willing to buy the top and sellers were coming in, we should have done what we did here and just get the hell out the market, right? We should have just took our money and left it. And then we could have re-entered when we saw buyers willing to buy it again and the momentum starting. We could have re-entered maybe here somewhere and then rode this wave up. So I, truth be told, didn't manage the original trade that well, okay? And we did get very lucky. Honestly, our stop was literally like there, right? We got very close to being stopped out. Yeah, we got very close. So I should have managed that trade better. I should have just exited when I saw that buyers weren't willing to buy the top. Exactly what we just did here. You know, the reason I exited here was because I saw buyers losing momentum. They weren't adding to their positions, right? That gave enough, there's enough time then for sellers to jump in and try and short the market. And that, you know, you're opening a door. It's like a little door being opened up a bit and the sellers rush in. Now, if you keep adding pressure into the market, buyers keep buying, that door stays shut, right? And sellers can't go against it. But the moment you lay off the gas and there's a bit of exhaustion happening, like the market's getting exhausted, buyers are getting exhausted, sellers can take advantage of that and jump in, right? So we should have, yeah. I should have got out here originally on a trade, and then we could have jumped back in when we saw the momentum, you know, kind of, especially around this kind of area here, we could have jumped back in, added, basically at the same price. So we would have still had that original, whatever this trade was, the $400-500, whatever. Actually, it was more than that. It was like 600, I think. So we were already 200 loss on that trade. And then we had like 300 here. So we could have made more money if we managed the trade correctly. Okay? And that's the important thing. Trade management is actually... Trade management is super important. Managing a trade correctly is super, super important. Because it can really... You know, if I got stopped out there, I got very lucky I didn't get stopped out. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I messed up, right? I'm not ashamed to admit it that I messed up in this area. I should have taken my money, right, when I saw it. But I was under the impression at first that, okay, might just be a little pullback and then buyers will buy it up and we'll continue. But I should have reacted to what the market was showing. And this just shows when you have a bias in your head, right? When you think when you expect something to happen in the market, it can blind you from what the market's telling you, right? Now, I could have been right. It could have just been a little pullback and then buyers bought it back up and we could just, you know, continue. That could have happened, of course. It's possible, right? But because I had that in my mind that that's most likely what's going to happen, I was ignoring the fact that there were no buyers at the top willing to buy and sellers were coming in heavy. This should have been get the hell out. You know, and once buyers come back in and stuff, then I could jump back in. But I thought, I'll just hold through it. And then it got worse and worse and worse. And truly, when it got down here, I thought, look, we're so close to my stop. I thought, yeah, I'm going to get stopped out. Now, I got very lucky we didn't get stopped out. Okay, I'm not ashamed to admit it. There was a lot of elements of luck here. But I would have re-entered at this point here. Okay, so if I got stopped out, I would have re-entered and we would have... I mean, we would have still probably made money or broke even, but yeah, wouldn't be as good of a day. So if I managed to trade correctly, and if I actually just looked at what the market was telling me and just paid attention and reacted to whatever the market was telling me, buyers were not willing to buy at the top, right? And remember, these were stops, okay? These are just sellers getting stopped out. Here was the high. Stop losses all here. So we can ignore that volume. That's not buyers buying the top. That's sellers getting stopped out. Sellers came in hard. buyers weren't willing to, trade heavy. Sellers kept coming in hard, There was an element here where, all right, there was a bit of buying trying to take control of the market, but the moment we got below them, we knew that we're going back down again. We just got very lucky that buyers at the bottom absorbed them, came in hard, and added volume. And the same thing here, these buyers here, remember we said our allies originally, these were our first allies. We said these are the guys that are going to, are interesting. If they can keep the market up, we're going up. And then we had another ally in the market, and I believe they were, yes, that 49. These were our allies we identified. These people are going to keep the market up, right? So whenever you see that, I call it an ally because I was buying, right? So these were like the big buyers, the serious guys, right? If they fail, then I'm out as well. I'm going to join whatever they do. So we had two of them. We could have re-entered our trade. We could have taken our money in and around this area and re-entered at that 70, even at a better price, right? Well, roughly the same price. Here we could have added our positions and we could have rode it up and made even more money. So trade management is super important. But it's hard. No matter how long you are a trader, it's always going to be that time where your bias will override what your eyes are showing you, You just got to keep reminding yourself, react to the market. Forget about what you think is going to happen, because it doesn't have to do anything. Anything can happen, right? Trump could tweet right now and the market could, I don't know, shoot down a million, or not a million points, but you know what I mean, right? So, yeah, react to the market. And that's what the footprint gives you everything, literally. Oh my God, did I just... What? I just literally said anything could happen. Trump could tweet and the market could shoot down a million. What? Okay, I'm going to check financial juice because I think... Can you imagine if Trump just tweeted something? But there you go. The market could do anything. That's just proven it. That is a sign from the universe, from the trading gods themselves. Anything can frickin' happen in these markets, okay? That was probably the best timing of anything I have ever... That is insane. What was it? Oh, it wasn't Trump. It was Putin said to plan Ukraine escalation, seeing talks fruitless. Okay, so it wasn't Trump, it was Putin this time that came out with something, right? I'll show you the news right there. That's the news right there at 4:52 my time. But look, I mean, that's just proven the point. I mean, that was pure luck. I mean, that was actually quite... I can't believe I captured that on camera. That is amazing. But, yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps up today's video. Oh, dear. I'll catch you again on the next one. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again very soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.